I was almost in shock that a girl like her would take a guy like me home. That Saturday night, I was already pretty drunk on bourbon as she drove us outside of the city to a rural area where she lived. Her name, Anna. Her look, out of this world level of beauty. We arrived at the end of a road that was half gravel, half dirt, out in a wooded area, blanketed in a soft, still quiet. She parked before her double-wide trailer, and she turned to me, a little nervousness in her voice. "I know it's not exactly a 5-star hotel, but this is it. This is my place." I smiled back at her. "It's all right. I've been in worse places." For a moment, we looked at one another in that half-awkward, half-heart-fluttering little way, like two kids with crushes on one another. She turned away from me, her cheeks a little red as she bit her lip. "You're different, you know that." "What? What do you mean?" I laughed a little. "I hope you don't mean strange." No, not like that. Just different. You're nice. I've been with some really bad guys before. Dangerous guys. But you're different." She turned to me. She leaned towards me and gently put her hand on mine. "You're different in the best way." In that moment, as I smelled her perfume and glanced to her red, full lips, I almost kissed her. But I was nervous. I'd never been with a girl like her. She must have sensed my shyness. She leaned away, looked me in the eyes with a smile that reminded me of a sunrise. "Come on, let's go inside. I'll make you the best damn whiskey sour you've ever had." She stepped out of the car, and I sat there for about 10 seconds like a love-struck teenager. How could a girl like that, like a schmuck of a guy like me? I watched her walk in front of her car towards the double-wide trailer. God, she was a vision. The way the night breeze blew through her hair, the way her little red dress contrasted against the darkness of the woods around us, the way she turned back to me and beckoned me with her hand. "Charlie, come on," she said with a little laugh. "Get out." I got out of her car and faced her home. A cold breeze made the hair on the back of my neck stand, and I noticed for the first time there weren't any lights on around us, just the headlights from her car. Her trailer sat in complete darkness as she walked away from me and approached it. I turned and looked back down the ill-paved road. How far were we from another house? From anyone else? I'd always heard of the phrase "middle of nowhere," and in that moment I felt it. I turned and looked back down the ill-paved road. How far were we from another house? From anyone else? I'd always heard of the phrase "middle of nowhere," and in that moment, I felt it. "Stop being so nervous," I told myself. "Just go inside with her." But just as I took a step towards her house, I heard something from the woods nearby. Something among the tangled thorn bushes and trees. What was that? Just the wind? No, the way the leaves crunched, that was something moving somewhere in the darkness. My muscles stiffened as I waited and listened. There it was again. Leaves rustled and crunched. Something stepped on them. And then, I heard something else. Something that made me stop breathing. From that pitch-black darkness in the woods, something growled at me. Yet still, I didn't move away. I stood there, my jaw clenched as my nostrils flared. My hand crept to the pocket of my jeans. I kept a sharpened pocket knife inside. I wasn't about to get bitten by some feral wolf or whatever else was in these woods. I waited. It growled again. I slipped my hand inside my pocket and grabbed the pocket knife, ready to whip it out. And then, it wasn't a growl I heard. It was something else. Something that couldn't be real. A man's voice. He whispered from the darkness, not more than 10 feet away from me. "Welcome home." My eyes squinted. I slowly pulled the knife from my pocket. What was it I thought I saw? I saw a man's face, just barely, peeking out from behind that tree. A pair of wide eyes looking right back at me. Charlie! Shit! I whipped around to see behind me. Anna grabbed my shoulder. She laughed and pulled me close. Charlie, what are you doing over here? Damn it, I sighed. I slipped the knife back in my pocket. I'm sorry, Anna. I thought I heard something over here. An animal or something. Someone. She pulled her cell phone from her purse and shined its flashlight into the woods. The light found nothing but some trees, leaves and thorns. No man, no growling animal. I swear, I thought I heard something in there. Maybe coyotes? I've seen some lately, come on. She took my hand and led me to a trailer. You don't want to get eaten alive out here, do you? I climbed the rickety steps up to a trailer door and followed her inside. I coughed in dust almost immediately. I could barely see because there were still no lights on. The only light came through a small window in her living room. A window that was broken. Did someone break in? I asked her through coughing. Anna, where are the lights? Please don't judge me, Charlie. I'm trying to fix the place up. She left me there near the door and disappeared into a room I assumed was the kitchen. I could barely see her rummaging around the cabinets. You'll have to forgive the mess. My uncle used to live here, and he hasn't been here in months to take care of it. She came back to me with a large bottle of cheap whiskey, half empty. Alright, you have to try some of this. Best whiskey I've ever tasted. I chuckled as she tried to put the open bottle to my lips. I thought you said something about a whiskey sour. Later, Charlie. Just try this first. I let her pour a shot into my mouth. I coughed at first as it hit the back of my throat, but I swallowed it and wiped my lips. I didn't tell her, but it tasted cheap. The kind you get off the bottom shelf at the liquor stores. Yeah, it's alright. A little more. She raised the bottle back to my mouth. Really, I'm okay. I let her pour more in between my lips and I swallowed. I could feel the burn in my chest, and then in my gut. Next thing I know, she had her arms around my shoulders and pulled me closer. I like you, Charlie, she whispered to me. I really, really like you. God help me. Her voice had my heart pounding against my chest. The way she touched me awakened something in me I hadn't felt in such a long time. I put my hands on her hips. I leaned into her and whispered, You're dangerous. You know that. She raised her hand, traced her middle fingertip along my bottom lip. You have no idea. I couldn't hold back from her another millisecond, so I closed the space between us and kissed her. Soft, shy at first, and then harder, pulling her closer, hearing her drop the whiskey bottle to the floor. We turned in a circle, her fingers on the back of my neck, her tongue over mine. And as she gently bites on my bottom lip, I breathed in fast, shivers running through me all the way to my hands, shivers she caused. I opened my eyes just a moment. Just out of the corner of my eye, I saw a hallway that led from her living room. It cut deeper into the trailer, to an open doorway, and in that doorway, someone was there. Wait, stop! I grabbed her and pulled her behind me. Who is that? Who are you? I was a little dizzy, still drunk. That dark hallway seemed to double into two hallways that spun around each other. But I saw them. Someone stood there at the end just before the open doorway. They watched us. Anna, stay back! I went for my pocket knife again, but she stopped me. Charlie, calm down. It's okay. I promise, look. She used the flashlight on her phone again and shined it down the hall. No one was there, just an empty hallway and an empty doorway. I rubbed my eyes and stood up straight. I swear, I think all this brown liquor is messing with my head. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have had that last drink. She rubbed in between my shoulder blades. Charlie, come on, maybe you should lie down. There was a moment, before she shut off the light from her phone, where I saw that hallway clearly. Sure, there was no one there, but it was the state of the hallway that made me freeze in place. I thought I was just drunk, that I really didn't see the cracks in the walls, or the old trash in the floor, the partially ripped up and pulled up carpet, or the set of rusted hinges screwed into a narrow doorway on the right. Hinges, but no door. I'd say the hallway looked like it belonged in a foreclosed home, ready for demolition, not the home of someone like Anna. And yet still, she held me to her and spoke softly into my ear. "Come on, Charlie. Come lie down on my bed." I stumbled from the wall and back into her arms. She led me down that hallway where the moonlight barely reached, and somehow I was in the back room, her bedroom, I assumed, where I sat on the edge of her bed. The metal frame made a shrill, creaking groan as I lay back on it. "Go ahead," Anna said to me. She ran her fingers through my hair and leaned over me. "Lay all the way back." She helped raise my legs onto the bed. I stretched out my arms. I ran my fingers along it, thinking I would feel the softness of sheets, but instead I felt the rough fabric of a bare mattress. "What the hell?" I said under my breath. I could barely lift my head up. "Charlie," Anna came back to me. "Charlie, it's okay. Just lay down." She slipped off her shoes and climbed onto the bed. She straddled my waist and ran her hands over my chest. "It's fine, Charlie." She leaned down. She kissed me again and bit my lip. "Everything will be okay." I gave in to her, kissing her dizzily. I swear the room was spinning and I was getting nauseous. My heart wasn't racing anymore because of her. It was racing because something felt wrong. Very fucking wrong. The closet door had slowly opened, the rusted hinges screaming as they turned. A man crept out. He was the same one I saw in the woods, then again in the doorway. It must have been him. He was rail thin like a walking skeleton, his skin barely hanging onto his bones. Thin wisps of hair hung off his dirty scalp and over his wide bug eyes. As he approached the bed, he twitched and jolted like a corpse come to life. And as he got closer, he looked right at me. The corners of his mouth stretched and curled almost all the way to his ears. "Anna," I mumbled. I couldn't grab her. My fingers wouldn't grip her. Sweat dripped off me and soaked my shirt. "Anna, stop. There's someone is here. Anna, he's right next to you, look." She leaned back. "Charlie, shh," she whispered. "I told you, everything will be okay." She didn't get away. She didn't even scream. Anna turned to this zombie-looking fuck and she smiled. She let him grab her by the back of her hair. He yanked her to him and slipped his tongue into her mouth. And I'm not kidding when I say she raked her fingers over his bony ribs, kissed him back and whimpered like he was the best thing she'd ever had on her lips. "Get off!" I finally found the strength to push her off me. I found myself crawling on the floor until I reached to the doorway. I stood up, turned around. I pulled out my pocket knife and brandished the blade. Anna wasn't on the bed anymore. She was on her knees, right next to the man. Her head bowed, her hands in her lap. "You can serve him too, Charlie, just like we all do." The man smiled at me while he pet her on the head. "Stay away from me," I snarled. I turned. I crashed against the walls in the hallway. I kept moving. I heard him growling behind me. I spilled through another door into another little room. I slammed the door shut. There was a broken window across the room from me. A beam of moonlight came through and landed on the floor where a dirty mattress lay. I saw stains on that mattress. Red stains. And just beside it was a large metal bowl. I don't even want to think about what was in it. I started panting. I grabbed my chest. I prayed I would keep on breathing. I prayed she hadn't poisoned me. The door shook behind me. The man called to me. "Don't leave, Charlie. We want you to stay." I flew back from the door. I could see the doorknob slowly start to turn. "Stay with us, Charlie. Stay with us, Charlie," he said slowly from the other side. I stumbled over something. A large chain. I fell to the floor. I scrambled onto my hands and knees. I was sure I was at least alone in that little room. But I was wrong. There was someone else in there. A man, he looked starved, with long, dirty dark hair and a filthy dark beard. There were markings on his body I don't even want to describe, or think of how they got there. He stood in the corner. He watched me. He didn't move. He only said one thing to me. "You can serve him too." I didn't think. I moved. Adrenaline raged through every vein in my body as I jumped to that broken window. Glass shards cut into me, but I didn't feel a single one. I clawed my way through that open window, and next thing I know, I landed on the cold dirt outside. And suddenly, I was on my feet. Trees flashed in a blur all around me. I was running anywhere, running through those woods as fast as my feet would carry me. I think I saw things out there, hanging from the trees. Strange things. People. No, not people. Dolls. Dolls made of sticks. And suddenly I tripped over something hard, and I crashed down to the ground. My face smashed into something. Pavement. I crashed down onto a road. I tasted my own blood as I stumbled up straight. That's when headlights blared into my eyes. I heard tires swerve over the road. I heard someone screaming, then someone grabbed me. "Are you okay?" a woman asked. "Get me out of here." She led me to her car and put me in the back seat. "Just hold on, sweetheart. We're gonna get you to a hospital." "That house," I mumbled, holding my forehead with a cut hand. Don't take me back there. They're there. They're in that house." "Sweetheart, what house?" The woman turned the corner on the road. "There!" I pointed out the window at the gravel road Anna took me down earlier. "That's the road. It's at the end of that road. There's a man there. He's evil. They're all fucking evil." "Mr. McLean's old house." She paused. She saw me through her rearview mirror. She lowered her voice. "Sweetheart, that house was abandoned months ago. The man who lived there is dead." "Are you sure?" Blood was still dripping from my hands and from the cut in my forehead. I could still feel the burn of the pavement on my face while I looked out the window and into the woods. "I'm sure," I told her. "They're out there. They're still out there."